Hi everyone, welcome to TED Talks, Ideas Worth Spreading. My name is Crystal Jackson and I will be talking to you about something controversial. Let's get started. I want to start off with something kind of fun. This is my favorite painting by Artemisia Gentileschi. She was a 17th century painter and was kind of well renowned. This is of Judith slaying Holofernes. She painted this shortly after she was sexually assaulted. She took it to court and she gave a recount of how she was sexually assaulted by her mentor. They tortured her to make sure she wasn't lying because that was a big worry for them, that women would be lying about sexual assault. So history has not really changed too much that we don't believe victims of sexual assault. And that ties into the topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. The controversial topic is, did the Me Too movement do anything? Did anything change? It started off with this man, Harvey Weinstein. The man, the myth, the predator. So October 5th, 2017, the New York Times broke a story about Harvey Weinstein and how he had paid off sexual harassment accusers for decades. By the time the article came out, he had already paid off 8 of his accusers. So a few days after that article release, it was a flood of women recounting their sexual harassment or sexual assault. And it came about with Alyssa Milano starting the trend on Twitter. She stated, "If you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too," as a reply to this tweet. And within 24 hours, she had millions of replies, millions of retweets of people recounting their assault. And so we had women from every background you can imagine, people with power, people with money. And then we had everyday people accounting how they had been abused and how the system failed them, and that they didn't feel comfortable about speaking up. But with the Me Too movement, with other people chiming in, they didn't feel alone, so they felt more comfortable with talking about their ordeals. By the end of that year, by the end of 2017, 87 victims accusing Weinstein, just one man, of various acts from inappropriate touching to criminal behavior such as sexual assault. These women had power, some of these women had money, they had backing, they had resources, and they did not feel comfortable enough to come out and talk about this until other women came out to talk about this. So the most controversial take is, did it change anything for the better? In the wake of the Me Too movement, at least 201 powerful men have lost their jobs or major positions. Some of those are now widespread accounts, and the major convictions are Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Larry Nassar, R. Kelly, and even Jeffrey Epstein. So now that most people have heard about the Me Too movement, we have to think about the support. We have more people supporting the Me Too movement than ever before. We see it here with women. We see it with Democrats. And we see the various people, all of who have heard of the Me Too account. Now, with the Me Too count, we have had opposition as well. Men who says that they don't want to be generalized or lumped in with the bad guys. So they create the hashtag #NotAllMen. And they said this was a way for women to victimize men and lump them in with the bad guys. So men start to feel uncomfortable around women, stating that You know, they didn't want a hug to be misconstrued as sexual assault, or them making a joke to be confused as sexual harassment. But now we know that most Americans believe people who commit harassment and assault at work. They believe that they're more likely to be held responsible than 5 years ago. So that's a big step in change. This was me when I was 19, I was a baby, and I had started working at a hotel. And so for a hotel, you have to train on the computer for a week. And I was training in a room by myself at the computer for at least 4 hours. And so I'm hunched over, typing on the computer, and a man comes up behind me, someone who I've never spoken to before, never talked to ever. This was a full service hotel, so we were attached to a restaurant. This man comes up behind me and starts giving me a massage on my neck. I freeze. This man is probably in his late 30s, early 40s, and at least 250 pounds bigger than me. And I freeze, and I'm like, what are you doing? He was just like, you look like you need a massage. I was like, no. And I'm just shaking my head because I'm so in shock, I don't have words. He was just like, oh, well, my bad, and then he just leaves. I went to management about this. I went to my manager about this. This was back in 2011. So 7 years before the Me Too movement. I went to my manager about this, told them this man made me feel uncomfortable. He touched me, and I was scared. They said, oh, we'll talk to him. He won't be allowed to come back over here. This man harassed me for at least a year and a half. He would try to corner me. He would try to find me when I was walking out to my car. He would send housekeepers to try to convince me to go on dates with him, to let him pay bills, to try to coerce me. And I told management about this for a year, and nothing happened. I think if that was to happen today, I think we have practices and procedures now in place that would protect me, that would now protect young, vulnerable women. So I do think the Me Too movement has worked. These are my visual citations. These are my information citations. And these are my library citation. Thank you.